Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings, cretins. We're glad to be back.
Yeah, it's always great to, I tell you, when you're here, when Blickman's here,
yeah,
I love doing the shows. It's just like, there's an energy, and I'm all excited, and
it's fun.
As I was urinating, I was holding on to my penis and thinking, I really enjoy that John is here.
Okay.
And John is here. My two Johns are here. It's totally cool. I love that. I really do, and it makes
I get that a lot.
The show a lot better for me. I enjoy it a lot more. I'm all excited about it. Or it could be the fact that we're drinking heavily. I don't know.
That could be a part of it.
One or the other. You got any trips coming up? You got any events here? You going to the South Pole this time?
No,
you were doing your South America tour there for a while.
Yeah,
your Australian tour, and your
south of the equator, definitely.
Yeah, you were doing the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, but a possible trip for December to Chile kind of fell through. But that was okay because it was,
because it would be cold there.
Yeah.
I hear it's chilly there.
Well, actually, it's quite hot there this time of year.
Oh, really?
They're getting into their summer season, which I guess is. They say that climate or temperature extremes are higher in the southern hemisphere compared to the northern hemisphere due to the tilt of the Earth and the perihelion versus was it anhelion? Position of the orbit. In other words, the Earth is closer to the sun. Yeah, the Earth is closer to the sun
when it's tilted towards the southern hemisphere.
Yeah. They're actually
and it's further away when it's tilted towards the northern hemisphere.
Right.
Because for those who don't understand, the Earth is tilted on its axis, but it goes all the way. While it spins, it goes all the way around the sun, and that axis tilt remains kind of constant. So that's why you have summer in the north and winter in the south, and then vice versa. But you're saying that the orbit around the sun is there's a point where it's closer, and at that time
that's when summer in the southern hemisphere is
and it's further away when it's summer in the north, which means it's even colder in the south.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating, but and it kind of begs the question, or maybe that is part of the reason that we have more land mass in the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere. Somehow that difference in temperature, contributed continental drift. May not. I don't know.
Could be. Well, and I'm sure there's very microscopic gravitational issues there. Even that could play a role.
Or maybe just the greater water mass in the southern hemisphere ameliorates those temperatures better.
It could be why the people in the southern hemisphere are absolutely just nuts.
That could be. Yeah, they
extremes
love brewing,
of temperatures that just make them, just psycho.
Yeah, but anyway, I won't be heading to the southern hemisphere anytime soon. At this point,
nutty Australians, New Zealand, these Kiwis, and the people in Chile and Brazil.
Yeah, but I had a great time in Australia. Just was last month. Bunch of us down there from Matt Brynildson and his wife were there. Kai Troyster and his wife.
Kai was doing he emailed me And our buddy Kai was doing a thing on. So I've done a calculator on yeast pitching rates, and I base that off of just doing a whole buttload of sample, pitching rates, pitching an exact number of cells.
Yep.
And counting, doing different strains, all that stuff. It takes forever, right? Because there's such a wide variety between the strains, between the methods, and all this stuff. It takes you're counting until you're blind. I spent like 6 months doing nothing but growing up yeast, counting it, and plotting this whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And I really think that's, there's so many, it's an organic process. So there's always stuff in there that, math really doesn't apply to. But Kai was going about it, trying to figure it out the other way. All right, you have X amount of sugar. And, by, utilizing all the sugar, a certain amount of growth, let's say it was a perfect process and you ended up with this. Of course, it's not. And that's where, I told him, I said, that's where your calculation is not going to work because it's an organic process. There's, it's not perfect. But I thought it was fascinating that he was, backing up from, well, here's how much sugar you have available in like a stirred starter, and let's say everything's even, let's say everything else is perfect, and let's say this is what you would get, and and going from that aspect of it, I thought that was great. And he backs it up, and this is what I love about Kai, is he backs it up with doing some lab work and saying, here's the theory. Let's prove this now with, some cell counts. And I think he was still missing a few parts, but God bless him. There's so many people that have ripped off and copied the Mr. Multi calculator, and take, information from like the yeast book and that's their sole source of information. And running sample numbers through the calculator, it's kind of like, well, you're not really doing anything to further the art of the science and the whole purpose for doing this. But Kai,
he does. He's
thinking about it. He's reversed it, the thinking on it, and he's backing it up with lab work. Love that guy.
Yeah.
And he and I might disagree on something, but I love that guy, and I respect the fact that he's doing that. He publishes his data, publishes his methods. I love that. I absolutely love it. I'm real excited about that. I told him I don't think it's actually going to play out, but I don't think it's necessarily any less valid than doing it the other way necessarily, because no matter what, you can't make a calculator that is going to be 100% of every, it's an organic thing and how you're doing things. So you need to match that up, whatever method you use of figuring out what amount of yeast you need.
Right.
You have to match that up with sensory. You have to say, okay, I did this, record what you did, and then compare the sensory, and if that's the result you want, you're great. If not, then you go and you change, one parameter, and then you back it up with sensory, and then there you go. You're looking at that again. So, in a way, it doesn't really matter what calculator you use. Just, be consistent in what you're using and figure out, and keep track of what's going on and see if you're getting the result you want. If not, then change it. Try again. See if you're getting the result. Record the results. So, apply some scientific method. Speaking of scientific method, our great sponsor, Mr. John Blickman, I tell you, that guy's all about scientific method.
He is.
He's also a little bit about
corn and guns and other stuff. But,
it's seat of your pants, and wild ideas. I think like any great, really creative person, great inventor, they've got that, by the seat of their pants, just throwing something out there and seeing what happens type of thing.
Well, we call it intuition,
Yeah, that's how that great inventions happen. And that's one of the things they do at Blickman Engineering. Check them out, blickmanengineering.com. Blickman with 2 N's.
And a CH.
And a CH and a B and a .com. Check that out. They got a lot of great stuff on there, and they do everything from the smallest homebrew setup to 2-barrel nano now. Yep. So check it out. That should hold you for quite a while. And I would highly recommend checking them out. Lots of good stuff. You can get them at your local retailer as well. Our great sponsors, Northern Brewer, morebeer.com. I think they all carry it, and your local homebrew shop as well. So
there's lots.
Check it out.
What are we going to talk about today?
today I wanted to finally wrap up the Progasm.
Okay.
After 63 shows, 64 shows about going pro, we're going to kind of give a little wrap up, and then we're going to answer a few Q&A questions that we've got as well.
Sure.
And if you got more questions, we'll answer them in future Q&A shows. But we wanted to kind of wrap this up. I think we covered most of what you need to know. And some people are like, "Yeah, I'm opening one based off of your shows." I'm like, "Oh my God!" Hey, if you're going to sue anybody based on this, it's the Brewing Network. It's not me. I'm just I'm just the oddball talent. All right, so a wrap up and a little bit of Q&A, and stick with us here. Let's take a short break. We'll come back. I'll go through my list of my top 5 things that you should take away from this whole series of show. Back after this.
When you hear Blickman Engineering, think innovation, passion, quality, and customer service. Blickman gear is designed by brewers to give you a sense of pride in your equipment. At Blickman, they know what makes brewing a pain and build gear that makes it fun. Like the intuitive beer gun, a completely different approach to filling bottles. The Therminator Wort Chiller, a new take on a plate chiller that's sized for flow, performance, and the high groundwater temps homebrewers face every day. The Brewmometer, a brilliant weldless thermometer design with brewing parameters right on the dial. The Autosparge, ultimate simplicity for preventing an overflow or running your mash tun dry. And much more, like the modular top-tier brewing stand, conical fermenters, and their Boilermaker brew pots. With more cutting-edge equipment coming soon, keep up with the latest from Blickman at blickmanengineering.com and stay on the cutting edge. Where can you still find $7.95 nationwide shipping, a friendly, knowledgeable staff, and all of the stuff to brew for less? Homebrew Stuff. Isn't the Homebrew Stuff a sexual maneuver? Homebrew Stuff is the largest homebrew supplier in the Northwest and can be found in Garden City, Idaho, and online at homebrewstuff.com. Equipment and ingredients for brewing beer and wine, soda and liquors, books, instructional DVDs, beginner kits, and a great selection of grain and hops. Homebrew Stuff also has dozens of free videos online to help make brewing easier. Visit homebrewstuff.com now for the best prices with their match or beat guarantee. BN Army members can take 10% off their first order with the coupon code BNARMY. Kegs, regulators, faucets, towers, carboys, conicals, barrels, you name it. Get your homebrew stuff for less at homebrewstuff.com. Homebrew Stuff. Not a sexual maneuver. Just the best prices and great service on all the stuff you need. homebrewstuff.com.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters, this is Jamel Zanishev, and I love a bold, hoppy beer, one that spits resin in your face and makes you cry, uncle. There are a lot of great hoppy beers out there, but at Heretic, we want to make something as bold, dank, and resiny as possible. We use hops at every chance we get, including multiple dry hop additions. The result is Heretic Evil Cousin. This light golden, 8% Imperial IPA has an easy malt character that helps take the edge off the massive bittering, but it takes a back seat to the in-your-face hop character. We make sure this beer finishes dry so the hops can jump out and slam you in the taste buds. If you can't get enough hoppy goodness, Evil Cousin is your cup of tea. Cheers.
What'd you get? More brewing ingredients?
Yep. You know what I love about Brewmaster's Warehouse?
The $6.99 shipping?
Well, yeah, but...
Oh, the in-store classes for beginning brewers.
Yeah, that's cool, but...
Oh, the Brew Builder. Creating and saving your recipes online is awesome!
No, yes, but...
The cheese-making supplies.
No.
Oh, the wine-making supplies. Oh, the distilling equipment and liquor flavorings.
All that stuff is awesome, yes, but what I really love is that the guy who runs it is totally hot. And that Brew Builder software is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Brewmaster's Warehouse brings you flat rate shipping on great equipment and ingredients to make beer, wine, cheese, and spirits at brewmasterswarehouse.com. And if you're in Georgia, stop by Brewmaster's Warehouse Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6. Visit brewmasterswarehouse.com today because it's totally hot.
Oh, yeah.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're wrapping up our Progasm, which I've really enjoyed. Enjoyed not having to come up with new topics for quite some time. So it's been fantastic.
But it's been nice to get the feedback from a lot of professional brewers, GABF, and when I was in Australia, and and South America too. I mean, surprising number of people are listening to this show and really appreciated the Progasm material.
Yeah, I was surprised even people who are not planning on going pro are actually enjoying it, kind of learning about what and gaining an appreciation of what the pros are doing and the risks that they take and the difficulties and things about pricing. A lot of times people they assume that, oh my God, this bomber's $12. It's like, well, that brewery's screwing everybody. Yeah. Like, well, the breweries, I got beers out there. I'm targeting everybody getting their share at $5.99, and you see it for $8.99. It's like, well, I have no control over that. I'm sorry, I can't. And by law, I can't tell somebody no.
Right.
I can't even tell you.
Recommend one retailer over another.
No, and I can't refuse to sell to somebody because they're gouging. It's you can try. There's people who do all sorts of tricky things, but you're really not allowed to do anything like that. And I think that's the thing. People, if you see beer and it seems too high priced, don't buy it. Go check it out somewhere else. Yeah. Find a retailer that's doing right by you, or a retailer that's got it a little more higher priced, but it's refrigerated or it's fresher or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, well, or the bigger selection, rare stuff you can't get. It's like, okay, well, I'll give you the extra few bucks because you're putting it into providing me with a good product. So I don't know. It's it's up to the consumer. Don't buy crap. Don't waste your money. Buy good stuff. Spend your money where you see fit. Homebrew some more. Whatever it takes. Nobody should feel forced into buying something they don't want. All right, so here's my 5 points of wrapping up what I want you to take away from this whole thing. The first is that I want you to know that as much as of the negative stuff that I've said, watch out for this, and you got to do that, and this is difficult, and you can do this.
Right.
If you really have the passion and you're willing to put in hard work,
right,
you can open a brewery. It's not that difficult. It
takes some time, but it's not.
Yeah, it's one step after the other. People look at it as this giant, difficult thing to do,
right?
And all it is a series of tiny little things that you need to do. Right. It's filing your paperwork with the ABC, filing your paperwork with the feds. And they're like, filing the paperwork, that seems difficult. There's a lot of stuff there, in that paperwork. That's like, 40 forms and all that. That's right. It's 40 individual forms, or whatever it is. It's 20, whatever it is. So all you got to do is finish a form.
Yeah.
Then do it again. Then do it again. Then do it again. Eventually, you have the packet done. Mm-hmm. Then it's just mailing it. Then it's waiting. Same thing at the ABC. It's, okay, I need this piece of documentation. I need to fill out this form. I mean, it's just these tiny little steps. Everything is just tiny little steps. And each individual, if you look at it, it's like, oh my God, all this stuff to do. I can't do it. But if you look at it as all these individual little pieces, I guarantee you, if I hand you a single form and you just looked at that one form, you could fill it out.
Yep.
You could complete that. All right, done. You've got your first step done. Do the next one. It's finding a place. Getting the equipment, getting the money together. Mapping out what your expenses are. All that stuff. It's just ultimately doable. If you're, of average intelligence like I am, and you're willing to work hard like I am, I think you could have a brewery.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't see anything stopping people from doing it. Sure, there's idiots out there who don't realize that they're far below average intelligence.
But they're brewers.
But even they can succeed.
Yeah.
So, don't worry about it. You can do this. If you really want it and you're willing to put the effort in, I guarantee you can run a successful brewery. I have no doubts that that's possible. Other point I think is that people miss out is that this is the business of selling beer.
Yeah. It's all well and good to have the passion for brewing and wanting and enjoying people drinking your beer.
Yeah.
But, if you want to go into the business of making beer, you've got to understand that it is a business.
Right.
That you have to treat it as a business. You can't treat it as a hobby at that point.
Well, and I think you had an excellent point. If you really want to be making beer and have that be the thing that you do, then you should go to brewing school.
Right.
And you should work at a brewery as a brewer.
Right.
Our Chris Kennedy, I think he's smart. I think he's talented, hardworking. He doesn't want to do the business of brewing. He wants to brew beer.
Right. Right.
So, that's why he brews beer. That's why I run the business side of things.
Yeah.
And, it's the business of selling beer, not the business of making beer. And that being the case, I've had people ask me, what brewing school should I go to? And it's like, well, you already know how to home brew, or you're already, an excessively award-winning home brewer.
Right.
Before I do that, what do you know about business? And it's like, no idea.
Right.
They have no clue about business. Go to business school. Then, once you've done that, maybe you can go to brewing school, but you're better off with business school than brewing school if you're going to own a brewery.
Yeah. If you're a great home brewer, you can brew professionally. It's just a matter of learning a different, setup material, equipment setup.
Mm-hmm.
The
scope is different.
Scope, scale,
yeah.
But you know the basics.
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't know the basics of running a business in today's environment.
Yeah, I think brewing's, all the same way. Oh, if you compare it to, any pump-operated, multi-vessel, all grain system for home brewers. If you're working plastic buckets, then I think you need a little internship time. But if you're brewing on a more beer, I started more beer 1550 or a top tier with pumps and a tower of power, I think, there's you already understand about moving liquids with pumps and, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Heat exchangers and, cleaning properly and sanitizing. And it's like, okay, well, you pretty much understand everything. It's just much bigger on the commercial end. And with that becomes a lot of,
more
danger, with higher pressures, the scope of things. Those fermenters, that's a lot of pressure in those things. You're using caustics instead of PBW. Although you can use PBW as well.
Sure. Yeah, there's some small shifts, but as a home brewer, as a good home brewer, you've learned a lot of what you need to know to professionally. I mean, because you've never been to brewing school as such. You've been to hop school and so on, and various things. And
graduated UC Davis.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with brewing, but
but you have it's taking the time to understand beer is a business that makes a difference.
Right. Beer is a business, and then the other thing is the Brynolson rule.
Ah, there's a good one.
Our good buddy Matt Brynolson, head brewer, Firestone Walker. And, I ask him all sorts of questions all the time. And God bless him. He's always quick to respond. Like most of these guys, they're just fantastic. And I could not have had any success without, I think, these guys helping. But Brindleson, one day I stopped by with Peter Simons and I. We were on our way to the San Diego conference, and we stopped by Firestone. Matt spent 2.5 hours touring us around, showing us all the little details, answering questions, sat down with us to taste beer. Absolutely just fantastic. And at that point, we were talking about, I was trying to figure out pricing on beer. And he told me, he said, look, he goes, I have this 85-15 rule. He said, you're never going to get more than 85% out of anything. He goes, whether it's fermenter space, he goes, you're going to get 85% of that. You have a theoretical maximum. If you filled it perfectly every minute of every day, you'll get 85% of that at most. He said, it could be ingredients, it could be, whatever it might be, bottling, whatever the process is, there's always some sort of imperfection at some point in the process where you lose 15% of the theoretical maximum.
Sure, yeah.
So that being the case, when you calculate up all your costs, when you're trying to determine your pricing, when you're trying to determine profits and all that stuff, he's like, figure it out, pad it 15, and then pad it 15%. Just add 15%. Yeah. He goes, that's your true price that you should be at. That's the true, efficiencies you're looking for. That's all,
right.
Throw 15% down on that. And so, him being the Brindleson, I'm like,
right.
Okay, well, then it's true. I mean, I automatically, words come out of his mouth. My brain says, well, that's true. And, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
You tell me the sky is different color, I'm like, oh, it's true. I don't know what happened in my head if, somehow it was able to verify. I would just continue to believe it's true. It doesn't matter what it would be.
Sure.
The guy's so brilliant. And so the one thing I would say on that rule, so absolutely keep track of that rule whenever you're calculating anything out, because that's where the loss comes in. That's where the businesses fail. They're 15% short on paying the rent.
Right.
It's like you got most of the money for the rent, but you're 15% short. You got most of the product you need to fill that order, but you're 15% short. Yeah.
You're almost making money.
Right. You're 15% short of making payroll or whatever it might be. He's 100% right. The only thing I would say in adjustment to that is you're talking about Brindleson. So for Brindleson, I think he's getting the 85%. I think for the rest of us ordinary humans, we're going to get 80.
Yeah.
So I think it's the 80-20 rule, which I always believe in as well.
Uh-huh.
I think that's a really great rule. And so I think the Brindleson rule is 15, but for the rest of us human beings, let's just call it 80-20.
Yeah.
Add 20% to your pricing, add 20% to your costs, add 20% here and there. Always pad it by 20%, and then in the end you'll just have a net even that it'll account for all those errors and mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a brilliant thing, because you start using spreadsheets, you start believing the numbers. That's the problem.
Right. Never goes that well.
Mm-hmm. And then what I've started now calling the Pete Schlossberg rule.
Ah, okay.
Which is that, again, and he'll tell you also that it's not the business of making beer, it's the business of selling beer. And he'll also tell you, and I urge everyone to go back to, it was April 7th or April 1st of 2007. Pete Schlossberg was on the Sunday session. You can download that. You go to thebrewingnetwork.com, Sunday session. Scroll back in there. You can search for Pete, or you can look for it by date. Mm-hmm. But he was talking about opening, essentially a contract brewing company, Pete's Wicked Ales.
Right.
And he's like, it's about the brand. It's about the marketing. It's about, having an image and all that. And it's all things that are 100% true.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. That's a lot of where your success is going to come from. The only thing is, and I believe you could fully do that with contract beer.
Yep.
The problem that I have, and my only quibble with that approach, is that
contract brewing. You mean?
Yeah, contract brewing, and because I think my passion would be lost.
Okay.
And if you're not passionate about it, if you don't care about it, and I think people would tell you the same thing. If you don't care, if you can't care about contract brewing, your beer that's contract brewed, then you should go ahead and brew it yourself. If you're going to do this, you need to care about it. You need to be passionate about it. You need to have image, brand, marketing, sales, all that stuff. And if the thing that's keeping you from being there is brewing it yourself, then you need to brew it yourself.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So. But brand and marketing and being, understanding that this is the business of selling, not the business of manufacturing. That's what I call the Schlossberg rule.
Yeah, that's good.
So, there you go.
Yeah, you got to be able to communicate that message.
Mm-hmm. And make the consumer passionate about what you're doing.
Yep.
All right. Okay, well, that's my 5. Let's do this. Let's take another short break, and when we come back, we'll dive into some of your Progasm questions right after this.
BN Army, HopTech has a great discount waiting for you. Do you often find it difficult to find specific specialty ingredients for your home brew recipes? Well, listen to this. HopTech stocks 59 different grains to choose from, 39 varieties of pellet hops, and 8 kinds of whole leaf hops. And HopTech not only carries Y yeast and White Labs yeast for you, but also Fermentus, 04, 5, 6, 23, 33, and T58 Belgian yeast, plus Cooper's, Nottingham, and Windsor yeasts. Got your recipe ready to go? Pick up some great brew gear like new long and short sleeved shirts, games, and more. HopTech's new website is being updated every day with new items. If you don't see it, call the shop. They're open 6 days a week. BN Army and AHA members get a 10% discount, and active military personnel get 15% off. Visit HopTech.com today for great selection, great service, and a great discount. HopTech.com.
Tonight is the night.
We bring the creature to life, Dr. Blickmanstein?
Yes, J.P. Gore. Everything is perfect for my next fermented creation.
But, Doctor, the storm is too far away. We'll never have enough power to isomerize the creature's alpha acid.
Yes, J.P. Gore, we will. For I have in my possession the Tower of Power.
Blickman's new Tower of Power is the evolution of automation. Control hot liquor, sparge, and mash temps like a pro. The Tower of Power is a high-quality gas-fired rim system that works with your current brewing setup. With ultra precision, the tower can hold your mash to 1/2 of a degree Fahrenheit. Precision and repeatability. The Tower of Power is the answer to automatic, fast ramp times. See more at BlickmanEngineering.com. Bring your next creation to life with the Tower of Power.
Dr. Blickmanstein, with the Tower of Power, you can probably give me an afternoon at the pub to enjoy a pint.
Don't be silly, J.P. Gore. We have beer to brew.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for any beer style. I want a Cicerone. The Cicerone certification program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
All right, BN Army, it's trivia time. What's the only homebrew shop with over 1,000 recipe kits, $4.99 shipping on orders over $100, and is also home of the Wolf shirt? The one and only answer is Austin Homebrew Supply. For over 20 years, they've specialized in creating recipes such as the best-selling Texas Blonde Ale, Apocalypso, Hop Bomb 2.0, and Double Chocolate Stout. And they just recently unveiled their small grain kits that produce 1 gallon of beer. Visit AustinHomebrew.com to browse their extensive extensive catalog of equipment and ingredients. They also have mini clone recipes of your favorite commercial beers. They're the exclusive retailer of Brew Vent yeast fuel as well, yeast nutrient, and the all-new bodybuilder. Follow Austin Homebrew Supply on Google Plus to participate in video hangouts on popular brewing topics. So visit austinhomebrew.com today and make sure you sign up for their weekly email with news and specials. Austin Homebrew Supply, austinhomebrew.com. A vial of White Labs yeast is the key to your best beer. When you open a vial of White Labs yeast, you're giving your beer its best chance for a perfect fermentation. In addition to their already incredible variety of yeasts, White Labs is proud to announce WLP 90, San Diego's super yeast, now available year-round. WLP 90 is super clean, super fast fermenting, with low esters and has a neutral flavor and aroma profile. It's alcohol tolerant and highly flocculent. For more of the latest White Labs news, click over to whitelabs.com, where you can read reviews of yeast, learn in the lab section, and join the customer club. And if you should find yourself in San Diego, White Labs has a brand new training facility for craft brewers and home brewers alike. Whitelabs.com. Discover yeast, nutrients, enzymes, and more for commercial breweries, home brewers, and homebrew stores. White Labs. It's all in the vial.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
All right, we're back. We're wrapping up our progasm. We're wiping up the last little dribbles.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, speaking of wiping up the last little dribbles,
first,
our fine sponsor, AdamandEve.com.
Ah, okay.
I think if you're wiping up the last little dribbles and want to dribble some more, go check out AdamandEve.com.
They've got a tool for that.
They have something to help you with your dribbling. You go there, use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, and when you do, you're going to get one item at 50% off. So half off of just about any one item. And when you do, you're also going to get 3 free adult DVDs, and you get to choose. You don't get like the bottom of the barrel junk that nobody wants, like hotel housekeeping surprises or something like that. You're going to get to choose from genres such as anal, amateur, Asian, big breasts, big butts, bisexual, chunky, co-ed, fetish, gay, interactive, POV, lesbian, MILFs, etc.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, and you know what sounds even better? You're going to get free shipping, and you get a free special mystery gift. So you're going to get 50% off one item, free shipping, free mystery gift, 3 free adult DVDs of your choosing, all for going to adamandeve.com and using the offer code Jamil, Jamil. And don't forget, you can even shop with your mobile phone at adamandeve.com. Go there and...
That's handy.
Yeah, anywhere you're at, you can whip it out and peruse the site. Order yourself a nice big old dildo or something. Get some lube, some DVDs. A good 6-pack.
Yeah.
You're in for the evening.
Saturday, yeah.
There's a Saturday and a Sunday. Most of the Sunday spent crying, but the Saturday is a lot of fun. All right. So program some Q&A here. Let me pull out my device. Let me scroll off of adamandeve.com and go to to my email here. All right. Mike says, first I want to say I love the pro shows. I hope there are a lot more to come. My question is regarding the first batch in a new pro brewery. Do you have any advice on replicating a 5-gallon recipe on a new, much larger system with new fermenters, different water, potentially a different malt supplier, etc.? Seems like there would be too many variables to accurately clone my beer. Is it best just to budget for a test brew and adjust from that? Thanks, Mike.
I would say it's probably best budget for a test brew.
Sure.
But, you've directly addressed this kind of issue. I mean, you had made Evil Twin, at home, and then you scaled it up.
Yep.
But then you also at the same time changed it up a little bit.
Right. Well, I know that the beer isn't going to turn out the same.
Right.
So I decided to just change the recipe anyway.
Yeah.
This is how I want to make it commercially.
Yeah.
And I just stick with, is it in the same spirit? This is the concept of the beer. Is the concept still intact?
Right.
That's all that matters.
Is it a great beer?
Yeah.
Coming out of the
and does it represent the things for Evil Twin? I want a caramel note. I want this tropical fruit hop character. I want these rich caramels and these tropical fruits to balance out. I want it to be bold, big, hoppy, malty. Is that still there? Okay, then I'm happy. And so you can, from square one, you can just go right out and just start brewing it. And as long as fermentation's good, your process is good, it's a really good beer. It may not be exactly dialed in, but then you can do the small tweaking from there.
Right.
And you don't have to dump that test batch.
Yeah.
I would say it's not important to exactly clone your homebrew.
Right. But bring that same spirit forward, bring that same balance forward.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the beer is slightly different, but if it's still a great drinkable beer, then you've succeeded.
Exactly. I think you just want to get your.
Let's back up just a little bit for his sake. What in general do you do when you're scaling up from homebrew to commercial? Is it pretty much a straight scale on the malts and then an adjusted scale on the hops and yeast and so on?
Well, my impression is that a lot of the specialty malts get better extracted in the
larger volumes. Okay.
So, and you get better efficiency on the hops. So I tend to scale back slightly on the specialty malts, and usually for us, it's like, if it's 45 pounds, we'll just throw in a 55-pound sack.
Okay.
If it's, we just round one way or another. If it's, 1.25 sacks, we'll just cut it down to 1 sack.
Okay.
We're trying to just simplify that a little bit.
Sure.
And that tends to work right. And I generally try and just round down.
Okay.
But
if let's say a particular specialty malt was 10% in a 5-gallon batch,
right,
you'd kick that down to 7, 5,
9.
8, 9. Okay.
9.5.
So from 10 to 9.
Yeah, it depends on how you're scaling. If you're going from 5 gallons to 100 barrels, I think I'd be a little more aggressive in scaling down. If you're going from 5 gallons to 3 barrels, I don't know that I would scale much at all.
Right. Okay.
So kind of in that range.
Okay.
All right. Steve writes in. He says, Jamil, your love of making great beer led you to get into the business of selling beer, but it seems like opening a brewery is a really bad choice for someone that is passionate about brewing. You no longer actually get to brew. I assume you don't have much time to homebrew, and usually the owner isn't intimately involved with the actual brewing. How has Heretic affected your passion for making beer? Are you going crazy or not brewing, or are you sick of beer by the end of the day? Thanks, Steve. Twinsburg, Ohio. I think that, I'd agree. If you have this huge passion about beer and brewing beer, like John was saying, become a brewer at a brewery. Don't open a brewery.
Mm-hmm.
Opening a brewery, I get to, you're
involved in the process.
Oh, yeah. I decide what beers are being made. I decide what the recipes are. I mean, Chris and I work, we share feedback and deciding on, what our first recipe attempt will be on a new beer. And then once it's brewed, we dial in, but I get the final say on, this is the way we're going to do it. This is how I want it to taste.
Sure.
And, those guys do a great job of implementing that and making it happen. But I don't, I very rarely do any heavy lifting anymore.
Right.
I mean, those guys are doing it all, and they're doing a spectacular job. I feel like it's an extension of me being there brewing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. I think if I was working with people that I felt were doing things their way,
sure,
and didn't respect, my opinion and my take on things, then I'd be really upset. I'd hate it. But the fact that I feel like those guys are, they're with me and we're working together, and I feel like...
So your passion for brewing is being satisfied currently in...
Yeah, because I see those guys brewing with passion and respecting my opinion of what I think is good beer.
Yeah.
So that really helps. And without them, I'd hate it. I'd absolutely hate it. But like Chris and Warren, they're great. They're doing what I ask. And then when we have the Grammary's great. I think when we have a disagreement, they're okay with me saying, well, this is the way I want to do it. I hear what you're saying, but here's how I want to do it. They like things sometimes different than I do, but I was like, well, I want to do it this way. And they're like, all right, fine. Yep. And it's not like, fine, we'll do it that way. I don't have to worry about them cheating behind my back or, It's like, all right, we'll just do it that way. They realize it's, one thing or another it isn't going to make, it's a different beer, not necessarily a better beer.
Right.
And so I get to, be that different way. So I still love that, but I think you're right. Especially contract brewing, I think you would have a real
itchy.
Yeah, I think there you're far less. You're not employing those people. You're buying a product from them.
Yeah,
and I think you're far less to get that satisfaction. So, I don't know. I think nano. Maybe nano's the ideal solution. Then
there you go.
You get that. Maybe you still get that passion. I think it's an excellent question though. I could still use a little more home brewing. The reason I don't is because I'm constantly doing events and all that crap.
Yeah, there's not much time.
Yeah, it's really really brutal. It really eats up. All right. Let's see. Ben writes in, would really like to know if there are any great business plan programs out there, or is doing a little research and writing yourself the way to go. Thanks, Ben.
Otherwise, he wants your notes so he can copy them.
Right. People have asked for that, and I'm like, no. Do it yourself. And what I would suggest is, it's not like called Business Plan Pro or something like that. From it's like Palo Alto software.
Oh, okay.
And it just walks you through it. It's got like 100 business plans loaded into it. And just pick a manufacturing one or pick a restaurant one.
Okay.
Depending on what kind of brewery you're opening. And
what's the cost of that software? $100, $500,
$99, something like that. And I think they throw in like a marketing plan software. It's not very expensive. It really works well.
Yeah.
Produces a professional level marketing plan. Of course, it's only good as the information you type, but it gives you samples of what it should look like. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I can replace that with my words.
Yeah.
Now that I understand what's wanted, you do that, and it's again, it's a chunk at a time. It's not writing a whole business plan. It's writing a paragraph. Can you write a paragraph about your business?
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you answer me this question about your business? Yeah. Okay. So you just do those, and you repeat doing that, and then you have the whole thing at the end. You print it out, and there you go.
Yeah, that's a decent price too.
Yeah, it's not very expensive. Let's see here. My phone's kind of slow in loading. Aaron says, "Hey, Brew Meisters, greatly enjoying the Progasm. I sent this a while back, but wanted to resend again for inclusion in upcoming Q&A shows."
Fortuitous.
Is it possible to license a brewery out of your garage basement? And if so, can that license be easily transferred to a larger facility? Or is it pretty much impossible and waste of time and money to try to license out of your own residence? Long term, 3 to 5 years, I'm thinking of larger scale. But in the meantime, I'd like to be able to brew and legally sell to friends, colleagues, etc. Yes, super nano brewery style, and per the first podcast, I have no aspirations to making a mint. Just continue it as a hobby and slowly save for a bigger endeavor. Cheers, guys. Aaron, Springfield, Virginia. I don't know what the local zoning laws are in Springfield, but it really, the requirements federally is that you can have a secured property where you can control access to the tax-determined product and the non-tax-determined product, that you can keep good records. that you can, brew a clean product and keep track of everything, that you can pay your taxes, that you're able to pay a $1,000 bond to get started. That's their requirements. That's all the Fed wants. Okay,
so you could do that.
Sounds like you could do that in your basement.
Yeah.
The state's going to often require, in California, I don't know what it's in Springfield, but in California, what they lean on is that the feds are okay with it and that individual cities are okay with it, right? Okay. So if the city says, we're fine with a brewery going there, the zoning's fine, we're good with them putting a brewery there, then the state's looking at, can you pay your taxes? Are you a criminal? Etc. Can you keep records? That's all they care about. And in California, they're looking at density of breweries and bars and things like that per capita.
Okay.
As long as you meet that, they're fine. Now, your city, you have to make sure that the city's okay with that. And in most cities, they don't want you running a commercial business out of your residence unless it's something where there isn't a lot of traffic. If you're running a bookkeeping business, if you're running a software programming business out of it, you can do a home business.
Yeah.
A home manufacturing business, that's questionable. Unless it's something small like jewelry.
Right.
A home manufacturing business involves alcohol, probably a problem. Yeah. But the thing to do is to start with the zoning department of your local municipality and say, hey, is it okay if I open a brewery in my basement?
Yeah.
And here's where I live.
And you probably need to take into consideration sewage discharge, too. Or at least they will be interested in that.
And with a small enough brewery,
probably not a big deal.
May not be a big deal, but they'll want to know numbers and things like that.
Right.
So that's where to start. So the question is maybe not. Transferring, as far as the feds go, not a big deal, and state not a big deal, generally. Matt writes, hey, Jamel, JP, and John. I'm a big fan of the show. Thanks for all you do. My question is about location for your brewery. When picking out a warehouse building to open a brewery in, what kinds of things should you pay attention to cut down on renovation costs?
Pigeons.
Floor drains. How big an issue should it be to have plumbing already installed and have easy access to? Also, should I want a building that already has a built-in floor drain, or is that a big deal? Yeah, floor drains, $50,000 right there. Just an idea of general pluses and minuses when looking at building cut down on renovation costs would be great. Thanks. Yeah, make sure you have at least some outdoor space to locate things like chillers and boilers and things like that. If you have floor drains, great, because those can be expensive. Thick enough floors to handle heavy fermenters. If you're putting in, big fermenters, they are going to require structural engineering of a floor, things like that. Sloped to floor drains. A lot of spec buildings are built with like a 4-inch slab. You need more like a foot for, the fermenters that we use.
For what size?
For our 120s, we're going to need, I think, at least a foot.
Okay.
So those are the big ones. The same thing, it depends on what size brewery you're doing. If you're doing like a nano, it's not a big deal. You could put that in almost any building.
Okay.
If you're doing something like a 30-barrel brewery, you need to run a boiler. That's going to take a bigger gas meter, and the utility will charge you for that. The sewer, things like that, floor drains, they all add up. So, tall ceilings. When choosing building, tall ceilings, at least a little bit of outdoor space. Floor drains are nice. Make sure you have enough power, water, and gas going to the building. A landlord that understands what it is you're going to do. And the feds require that you have a lease that states on it brewing beer at this location.
Uh-huh.
They need to know that your landlord understands what you're doing and that the city understands what you're doing. So a landlord that understands and zoned in an area where there's not going to be a problem, not too close to houses, things like that.
Okay.
All that's important. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll wrap up with just a few questions in the Progasm Q&A. And if you're listening live, stay tuned. We'll get to your homebrew Q&A just after this.
BN Army, HopTech has a great discount waiting for you. Do you often find it difficult to find specific specialty ingredients for your home brew recipes? Well, listen to this. HopTech stocks 59 different grains to choose from, 39 varieties of pellet hops, and 8 kinds of whole leaf hops. And HopTech not only carries Y yeast and White Labs yeast for you, but also Fermentus, 04, 5, 6, 23, 33, and T58 Belgian yeast, plus Cooper's, Nottingham, and Windsor yeasts. Got your recipe ready to go? Pick up some great brew gear like new long and short sleeved shirts, games, and more. HopTech's new website is being updated every day with new items. If you don't see it, call the shop. They're open 6 days a week. BN Army and AHA members get a 10% discount, and active military personnel get 15% off. Visit HopTech.com today for great selection, great service, and a great discount. HopTech.com.
Tonight is the night.
We bring the creature to life, Dr. Blickmanstein?
Yes, J.P. Gore. Everything is perfect for my next fermented creation.
My doctor, the storm is too far away. We'll never have enough power to isomerize the creature's alpha acid.
Yes, J.P. Gore, we will. For I have in my possession the Tower of Power.
Blickman's new Tower of Power is the evolution of automation. Control hot liquor, sparge, and mash temps like a pro. The Tower of Power is a high-quality gas-fired rim system that works with your current brewing setup. With ultra-precision, the tower can hold your mash to 1/2 of a degree Fahrenheit. Precision and repeatability. The Tower of Power is the answer to automatic, fast ramp times. See more at BlickmanEngineering.com. Bring your next creation to life with the Tower of Power.
Dr. Blickmanstein, with the Tower of Power, you can probably give me an afternoon at the pub to enjoy a pint.
Don't be silly, J.P. Gore. We have beer to brew.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for any beer style. I want a Cicerone. The Cicerone certification program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
All right, BN Army, it's trivia time. What's the only homebrew shop with over 1,000 recipe kits, $4.99 shipping on orders over $100, and is also home of the Wolf shirt? The one and only answer is Austin Homebrew Supply. For over 20 years, they've specialized in creating recipes such as the best-selling Texas Blonde Ale, Apocalypso, Hop Bomb 2.0, and Double Chocolate Stout. And they just recently unveiled their small grain kits that produce 1 gallon of beer. Visit AustinHomebrew.com to browse their extensive catalog of equipment and ingredients. They also have mini clone recipes of your favorite commercial beers. They're the exclusive retailer of Brew Vent Yeast Fuel as well, Yeast Nutrient, and the all-new Bodybuilder. Follow Austin Homebrew Supply on Google Plus to participate in video hangouts on popular brewing topics. So visit AustinHomebrew.com today and make sure you sign up for their weekly email with news and specials. Austin Homebrew Supply, AustinHomebrew.com. A vial of White Labs yeast is the key to your best beer. When you open a vial of White Labs yeast, you're giving your beer its best chance for a perfect fermentation. In addition to their already incredible variety of yeasts, White Labs is proud to announce WLP 90, San Diego's super yeast, now available year-round. WLP 90 is super clean, super fast fermenting, with low esters and has a neutral flavor and aroma profile. It's alcohol tolerant and highly flocculent. For more of the latest White Labs news, click over to whitelabs.com, where you can read reviews of yeast, learn in the lab section, and join the customer club. And if you should find yourself in San Diego, White Labs has a brand new training facility for craft brewers and home brewers alike. Whitelabs.com. Discover yeast, nutrients, enzymes, and more for commercial breweries, home brewers, and homebrew stores. White Labs. It's all in the vial.
to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
All right, we're back. We're wrapping up the Progasm with some Q&A. And, there's a bunch of Progasm questions in there.
A lot of good questions, yeah.
Yeah, excellent questions. And, don't be afraid to ask your pro questions as well as we're going forward. We'll try and answer them all, whether we do them in conjunction with this or later on during a regular old Q&A. Let's see. Let's wrap this up with Jason. Jason says, hi, Beerstrong. Thanks for all the great information and entertainment. I've been going through many of the podcasts, particularly the Going Pro Progasm series, and I'm not sure if I've heard the answer to a very specific question I have. Show's been very informative about business legal aspects of starting breweries. I was wondering how difficult it would be to turn a restaurant into a brew pub. What types of licenses and considerations are specific to brewing of beer? I know at least one place has done this, but I'm surprised more restaurants don't consider it. It seems that many of the permits, licenses, etc. that you mentioned on the show are just about owning a business and selling beer. What exactly needs to happen if all you want to do is add, say, a nano to an existing restaurant that already sells beer? Could you please point me to relevant podcast or maybe include a quick blurb for future pro if info doesn't exist? I really appreciate it. Jason, the funny thing is it's not that quick and easy to just add the brewing of beer. That is the meat of it. Mm-hmm. Opening a restaurant doesn't really require a whole lot of permitting. I mean, it's local city stuff, and it's not that big a deal. Selling beer at a restaurant, that's a license to the ABC, but it's a completely different license than the license you need to brew beer. Okay. The production of alcohol is where everybody gets all freaky, and that's where a lot of the taxation is in the production of beer. Okay, so even just adding a nano to a restaurant is the same thing as opening a nano. Exactly. Okay. You need all that licensing. So all the licensing we've talked about, the only thing I think you wouldn't need is you probably need you need an update somehow to your business license. You'd need, you might need a new use permit. You might need to check zoning. All that stuff that we've talked about, you would need going into a restaurant. Going to a restaurant, I don't think really saves you very much other than, if it's already existing business, the city might be like, yeah, all right, if we want these guys to, continue or do well. But even then, I guess they're already getting your tax dollars. They won't get any more tax dollars if you brew the beer there versus just retailing it from wholesaler. So for the city, there's really no gain unless they want to see somebody actually brewing beer there. Yeah. So I think it doesn't help you a whole lot. Other than you've already got an existing business, I think that could be pretty cool. But you will, in terms of loans and so on, right? That's probably a step up. But you still need to apply for the TTB license all from scratch, all fundamentally, you need to define an area that is defined as the brewery, and it needs to be something that you can secure, that you can lock and keep everybody else out of. Where you store the beer, everything like that, you have to have that defined. You can't just have it in the middle of a restaurant unless the whole restaurant's going to become the brewery, which you can do. But, it's probably easier if you can just, suss out a little place. And then, as far as the ABC goes, you have a license to sell beer, not to make beer. So you need to apply for a license to make beer. Now, it can be different for different states. I don't know what state he's in. But in California, we'd need a whole nother license in order to do that. So there you go. All right. If you're listening live, stay tuned. We'll take on some more Q&A. And if you're listening live, you can ask some of your questions right there in the chat. JP is monitoring the chat and gathering your questions. And we'll go ahead and take some homebrew questions as well. That's right. We wrapped up the Progasm. I think we're done. Officially done. We're going to go ahead and answer the rest of the Progasm Q&A questions, but we're also going to finally get back to our homebrew roots. Right. Oh, thank God. And if you appreciate your homebrew roots, I would suggest going to the Brewing Network store. You can sign up for the AHA, the American Homebrewers Association. They do a great job protecting your homebrewer roots. And if you sign up there through thebrewingnetwork.com, the Brewery Network gets a little slice of that back to help support the programming here. And it's a good organization looking out for homebrewers' interests everywhere. Yeah, and check out the stuff in the store. They got John's absolutely the best book on learning how to brew, called How to Brew. It's their third edition now, and it sounds like you're working on a fourth.
I'm gonna revise it next year. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. John's always constantly, he's brewing, and he's like, that didn't work out exactly as I had planned. What can I write better to help people through that? Very cool. So pick up a copy of How to Brew. It's absolutely excellent. All right. Until then, we're strong.
Brew strong, everybody.